And we are on. Good evening. Welcome to the Likutey Moharan shir of this week's Pasha Vayakel Pikudei, building of the Mishkan. Likutey Moharan Toyech Aveilus. Hashem. I'm connecting myself to everybody here and everybody that will come. Is Hashem. Yitz Hashem. You know the koyach of our good deeds. Koyach of Rabbeinu will subdue and stamp down the evil that resides within us, and B'ezrat Hashem, the koyach of everybody, B'ezrat Hashem Kodesh Baruch Hu should give us forth the diburim chamim ke'esh, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Chaf. Farhat diburim and Torah and Shamayim, B'ezrat Hashem. All be zoich B'ezrat Hashem to come to B'chinas of Eretz Yisrael, which is a madrega where you keep on going from one step to the next. You keep on going up and up and up. This is the pshat of being Zocher to Eretz Yisrael. So, a recap of what we went so far. We're holding Sif Vav, number 6. So, we explained that there are two modes of Seichel. One of them is called Kedem, one is called Ochar. It says, Achor v'Kedem Satani, backwards and forwards you have created me. Initially, this is said about Adam Achora. In every situation, the female aspect of the situation is called Achor, and the male, the Mashpia, part of the equation is B'chinas Kedem. So we said that the Seichel, which is B'chinas Achor, this is the human intellect that people are they know, and whereas it's always everything that you learn, everything that you know about it always depends on something that came before it. Whatever it is that you understand, whatever it is that you get, whatever it is that you're able to attain, is always something which is resting on something that you knew before, you felt before, you understood, you touched, you experienced, whatever. Seichel B'chinas Kedem, we're talking about the Shefa Eloki, we're talking about a Seichel which has no beginning, because it always is. You can't even say it always was, it always is. It arrives like a well when you draw from it using a keli, using a pail, using a vessel. The vessel is always the ochar. The ochar is the keli with which you are able to receive the kedem. And the only way that you can actually use the vessel of the receptacles of ochar, which is Shivas and Eres. Shivas and Eres are Nosson calls it Likutey Halachos. It's the nuk ve'aponim, the nuk ve'arosh, the openings, the female receptacles of the head, which is the mouth and the nose and the ears and the eyes. So, lichura comes a question of if you always have to have a receptacle in order to achieve the kedem, the sechel b'chinas ocher is also you all the time have to achieve, to use the vessel that you had before, the understanding that you had before, the whatever it is you were able to attain before, in order to move forwards. So what is really the difference? What's the fundamental difference between them? Here using a preamble in order to understand, to get it. And here you're using, the Shiva scenarios in order to get the Serep Chinas Kedem. So what's the difference? You're always using the Ochar, the vessel, to capture the light. The answer is that in the Sechel, which is Bchinas Ochar, you attain the next level of Sechel by filling the vessels, by being open to whatever comes. To achieve, to get the Sechel Bchinas Kedem, you're doing the opposite. You're tightly controlling what it is that is going on into your kelim. You're not singularly open to everything. Whatever the wind blows you, this is what you get. You're not just looking at to whatever it is that is coming towards you. Forget. You're looking, how can you sanctify your vessels? How can you sanctify your kelim? So when it's the mouth, you have to be very careful not to lie and not to exaggerate, not to say things that are not true, not to pretend that you're something that you're not. The nose means that you should fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One of the astounding Pirkei Tehillim is Kapitel Mentes. David HaMelech, let's see if I have it over here, right here. David HaMelech is no, I don't have it here. David HaMelech is saying, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to reveal to you, like the highest secrets, the highest levels of Chochmah that there are. And he says, what is life? People, are here today, gone tomorrow. Even people that the Fire HaKadosh Baruch Hu say with their own mouths that, they're going to leave the world. So Ibn Nosson speaks about that. And he said, what is David HaMelech saying here? He's saying, listen, you listen to me, I'm going to reveal something to you that you've never ever known. Something that was amazing. Whoa, it's going to blow your mind. And what does he say? He's saying something everybody knows. He even says so. The Rishonim say, they know they're going to be gone tomorrow. And he says the world is Bchinas Cheled. The Gemara speaks about it. So Ibn Nosson says, what's the Chiddush? Everybody talks about it. Everybody knows that death is certain. That eventually we have to die. So what's every Musa Shmos is about that. He also speaks about Hilchas Shchita. There is one form of Shchita that is treif. Everything is okay. The knife is fine, the animal is fine, everything is fine, but the knife is inserted under the wall. It's unseen. This is called chaloda. The only thing is that you just didn't see the knife. The knife was under the wall. That's it. It's treif. So on this cheled, the Gemara says, what is this cheled? This says, everything that exists in the sea exists on the land, and vice versa, obviously. Except for one thing, except for the chulda that lives in the houses. Chulda is the rat. There's no rat in the sea. There's a rat in this chulda, and Reb Nosson explains this notion that there is an olam haba, and this olam hazeh is nothing, is literally nothing. As we spoke on Monday, this world has nothing to offer except cheled, except cover up. So you can have choice. That's it. There's nothing you can achieve in this world except for Torah, Masim Torah, that will go with you. There's nothing. This world offers nothing. Nothing. Rabbeinu says, people are talking about money and money and money and money. Fast cars, fast this, fast that, vast amounts of wealth. Rabbeinu says, where's all the money? Where's all the profit that was made from the annals of history? Where's all the money? Where's all the money? They have these videos about the richest men in history. 10 richest men in history. I know Genghis Khan that owned real estate, from Mongolia all the way to Europe. So according to their calculation, his wealth was $400 trillion or something like that in today's money. Forget about the fact that he himself didn't take any money to himself. He just gave it to his people. Yeah, but he owned all this real estate. Andrew Carnegie and Rockefeller and I don't know, Augustus Caesar and that owned Egypt as a personal fief, whatever it is. Where is it? Where's all the money? Where's the money? The money is gone. There's no money. There's nothing in this world. This world is a dimion, push the dimion. And you can say it 1,000 times over. Nevertheless, we still don't get it. It's a pele. It's a pele. This cheled, this chulda, exists only on land. We spoke about, in the last time, we spoke about the fact that you have esh, ruach, maim, ofa. You have the fire, you have the wind, you have the water, and you have the earth, the 4 elements. And we said that the ash represents Kiviyachol HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Olim HaAtzilus, and the wind represents the Olim HaBriya, and which is the content, as it were, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu has to do with us. And then you have the Olam HaYetzirah, which is the water. The water only represents Das. It's a Das Amiti. The earth is, Afra Mana de Kulu. That's the vessel of everything. All the other 3 elements act on the element of earth, but the element of earth itself is inert. So over here, when we're saying when the Gemara says what exists, what's the difference between what exists on the earth and what exists in the water? It is basically saying what is the difference between what exists in the istaklus and the shkofa of olam hazeh, and the level of the das which is bchinas mayim in on earth, on this, the level of a star that exists in this world is the chulda, is the cheled, is this fact that everybody knows for a fact that they're going to leave this world. Yet they don't get it. They say it with their own mouth. They still don't get it. You take a look, when somebody becomes catastrophically ill, not only is this person going through a mind shift that basically everything, all the perspectives change totally and completely. What happened? What do you know now you didn't know before? You always knew that you're not going to stay here forever. Yeah, but it was covered up. It was cheled. It was a chulda. A chloda. Was covered up. It wasn't in the water. It wasn't in the das. It was in the medama. Our work is to subjugate the medama to the das. So, in this world, because when a person is in a situation, that he is very seriously ill, but then the choice becomes a no choice. Truth be told, as we age, a lot of things sort of fall by the wayside. When in your 20s, it's like the second grade syndrome, or the first grade syndrome. First grade kids can do anything. A teacher comes in, with a watch, and says, "My watch doesn't work. Who can fix this watch?" And all the kids lift up their hands, right? In the first grade, all the kids can fix the watch because they think you can do anything. Same thing, people in their 20s are basically kids, right? They can do anything. They can dream about anything. The only thing that changes as you go along is you get specialized. You realize more and more things that you can't do. And therefore you discover the things that you can do. And as you get older, you keep pairing off more and more things that you can't do anymore. That's basically the big difference between, being very young and being older, is that, it's not shaykh to you anymore. Well, Hashem, when you get older, also there are certain things that when you were young used to drive you crazy. No shaykh. I have it, I don't have it, it's no big deal. It's not interesting anymore. The trick is to do it when you're very young. The trick is to do it when the fire is burning, when you're going crazy. Then to subjugate it. Once somebody is already, when they are already in the water, there's no chulda in the water. So we said the only way that you can get to kedem is when the seichel of kedem is through the sanctification of the 7 candles of the candelabra. Again, the neiros. We're not talking about the flames. We're not talking about the wicks. We're talking about the receptacles. There's the thing that you fill the oil with. You put the wick, and this is how you light. It's shivas aneres. It's a nukva. It's a nikvi aroish. This is the mouth and the nose and the ears and the eye. Then the Rebbe says this is Pchinas Shiva Anan HaKoved, which is Pchinas Ruach HaKodesh, which is Ruach Chochma Sheba MiKodesh. This is brought by the Sukkah. Sukkah is in Anan HaKoved. From there, we move on, and we mention about the 7 days of mourning. And the 7 days of mourning, we said there is chuppah, there's after the chuppah, after the sukkah there's the chuppah, there's the marriage with the Sheva brachas, the Shivas and Mishta, and then the Rebbe goes to Aveilus, the 7 days of Aveilus. In the Chura, it seems like so incongruous. I mean, it's like on one hand you're talking about chasana, you're talking about chuppah, you're talking about kiddushin, and then you're talking about the 7 that goes with it. And we explained in Achinami, the kiddushin is where the makif comes in, but you're still not getting it. You're still not married. You're still not one with your wife until Shivas and Mishta. Those 7 days. Those 7 days, this is the Shivas and Eris when it comes in. When it comes down, when it's being captured, you become married. We said the 7 days of Aveilus is the opposite. When the nifter passes away and everybody is mourning him for 7 days, it says this is the tikkun for the nifter. It brings them up. It brings them up to Oraponim, back to Oraponim. That's what Rabbeinu says. Arizal explains. He explains that what happens when a person passes away. When a person dies, Arizal says that the makifim leave him. He's losing the makifim. All of them. The makifim remain at home, at his house, b'beisai. And then the first 3 days, when a person doesn't have the makifim, a person doesn't have a makifim, the person is exposed. The person is exposed. He's exposed to all the dangers of all the mazikim and all the shemirachem, all the things that he is stripped of his armor. So then we have the first 3 days of the Aveilus. This is the dinim kashin. This is the hardest time for the niftar. And then the last 4 days of the shiva, of the shiva simi Aveilus, is a lighter din. So you can already say hello. You can already say the first 3 days you don't ask the oval doesn't ask how you are. There's no talking. This is because this is the first 3 is keneged the lowest 3 of the Shiva Sneirish, which is the mouth, and the 2 Nukve Chotma. This is 1, 2, 3. This is the first 3 days. Then the next is the 4 days, which corresponds to the 2 ears and the 2 eyes. And the nifta gets these makifin as well. Then they can get up, and there's another tikkun of the shloshim and so forth and so on. This brings about drives up and elevates the neshama of the niftar to Orapan. Because while a person in this world, a Jew brings down the shefa eloki, the Orapan. When he passes from this world, he goes back to Orapan. He adds Kedusha Lamala. He's Nichla. Now it's time to help him up. And who are those who mourn for him? This is the people that he left behind. They're his children. This is the amshoch of the Sechel Eloki, of the or upon him that he was mamshich in this world. Yes, a person must have children in order to do that. Now, the important thing to understand is that it is this, when we spoke about, before the Shia started tonight, we spoke about, where the lack is the gain. In Shivas Aveilus, it is more evident than ever, because it is the sorrow and the chaser, the chisaron, that the Avelim feel, that elevates the nifta to Arapanim. It is the argosh of the chisaron. The Rebbe says later on that every tzaddik is burnt from the chuppah of Chaveira, from the makif of his friend. We spoke about it a little bit, we touched this Nikud a little bit. But Lemaisa, what we're talking about is the busha. We're talking about the shame. It says, the Gemara says, Pnei Moshe kepnei Chama, the face of Moshe resembled the sun. Pnei Yeshua kepnei Lavona, the face of Yeshua resembled the moon. Oilo is a busha, oilo is a klima. What about what busha? It's not the busha that we're talking about here, but regular, but it's a busha that comes of like, look what the other tzaddik was able to get and you didn't get. Rabbeinu says the reason why the other tzaddik got it and you didn't is not because he was more talented, but because he worked harder. Because he was tunnel visioned, he was focused on or upon him more than the first tzaddik, the second tzaddik was, whichever you want to call it. That's the busha. That busha stings him. Rabbeinu says this is that awakes the heart, that awakes the slavus to get better, to go weiter. And this is what we're talking about in Sif Vav. V'zeh tam roik shechalitza. This is the reason. When a nifter leaves this world without children, and he's married, so there is a mitzvah on his brother to be mekayim a mitzvah of Yibum. Usually, a brother's wife is an erva. This is a big no. There's no connection between a person and his sister-in-law, except the fact in on the occasion chas v'chalila, when a person passed away and he did not leave children behind. This is a big chisaron. It's a huge chisaron. Because what happens is that his tikkun is, as we'll say over here, he says that time rok shel chalitza, there's nobody to be mamshich the or upon him to this world after him. He is cut. It's a huge concern. Arizal says in Sha'ar Gilgulim tremendous things about what happens to such a neshama. And he says there's no tikkun to this neshama kaviyachol. So the Torah gave a special mitzvah of Yibum, and the mitzvah of Yibum is a mitzvah that goes through tremendous tsars. We'll see here. That's a spit of the chalitza. That somebody that passes away without children, his brother, doesn't want to marry his sister. I mean, his brother's wife. And in order to establish and have children, that then the wife of the deceased has to be choilitz to her brother-in-law. And the part of the mitzvah is that she's supposed to spit in his face. Not in his face, mamash, but in front of him. This is the essence of the busha. And this, let's just read what Rabbeinu says, and then we'll talk a little bit more. Shenema v'yarka b'fanav, that she spat in his face. B'fanav daika. B'fanav, we're talking about oraponim. There is a amshach of oraponim. Ki zeh hoylech below zera. This one, the first one, her husband, leaves this world without offspring. V'lo yiniach bracha acharav, did not leave behind a blessing behind him. She'amshichu sechel aponim ba'olam, that will keep on drawing the sechel aponim in this world. Al dei masayim atoivim, dafka, through their good deeds. They have to complete that which was lacked. This was taken away from Oraponim with the stalkas of the niftar. His children is supposed to bring down back into this world through what? Not by the tremendous asagas, and not by maaseh matom, their good deeds, the lowest level of the world, the most mamoshes level that there is. And his brother does not want to establish the name of his deceased brother, his dead brother. And he doesn't want to be miyabim, to marry her. That's why she has to spit in his face. He doesn't want to redraw the neshama of the deceased back in this world. We need to understand this. And he says, and this spit, sometimes you can see the face of the deceased. The face of the deceased, Rabbeinu says here. Because the blemish here, I mean, he blemished, he didn't have any children. His brother is not blemishing, but doesn't want to be miyabim his wife's brother. That particular spit embarrasses him, shames him. The main shame is in the face. Because he didn't want to reestablish the name of the deceased brother. And now we're taking it a little bit, Rabbeinu's taking it a little bit further, and he says, Zeh Pchinas, about Kodesh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu about Miriam, when Miriam spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu. Ve'avia yorak b'fanei, and her father has spit in her face, and she has to be ashamed for 7 days. Now everything ties together. As Rabbeinu will say, as Rabbeinu says, the Zohar says this, the in of Yibum is an oynish, as Rabbeinu mentions right there, is a tremendous punishment. Because what happens is that the offspring of the brother and his previous sister-in-law is the neshama of the deceased, of the niftar. The Zohar says that now his wife has become his mother. That's why this child, this person will have no zivug, because his wife gave birth to him. It says im lo, as Rabbeinu says, im lo b'rachamim gdolim, with great rachamim. Great rachamim is atika kadisha. That's the orapanim. What has to happen is that since the niftar was mistalik without leaving children, which is abgam, there's no tikkun to this neshama. The only way to do it, and then Yibum says, listen, it's not like that he didn't try. It's if he didn't want to, he cannot even come in the Gilgul. He cannot reincarnate. He says only when he tried and was successful and this and that, then he can reincarnate. But if he didn't even try, didn't even want to, he wasn't interested, there's no tikkun, there's no gilgul. So Kodesh Baruch Hu is looking for a way to give a tikkun to this neshama, and what is the tikkun? The tikkun is through this punishment of Yibum, which is the Tsar Gadol. Now his brother goes and welches on that agreement also. He doesn't want. So here comes an amazing, amazing tikkun. What happens? There's Chaltza. What happens is that his wife, of the deceased's widow, spits in the face of his brother that refuses to be miyabam. Now the shame that is supposed to be experienced, you remember, tzaddik nichva mechapos chaver oilo is a busha all the saklima. That busha Benu says in Torah Vav that the ikar tshuvas, when a person be hear his bizoyim yidum v'yishtek, that shame is not a shame of a politician that was caught red-handed, or somebody that is caught in a vera. This is a shame that a person who realizes his shortcomings, beruchnis. So over here, it is the shame is only shayach in kovet. Somebody who has no kovet has no shame. This is about Knan. Knan are walking without clothes. Chasufei sheis. They're walking around naked in Africa. They're walking just naked. Adrabe, verkehrt. A melech is with levushim. So we explained last week that in the mouth there are three different parts of the letters that they are divided into three groups. Each one some come from the throat, which is Gichak, Gimel, Yud, Chet, and Kuf, that come from the throat. There's Bumaf, that come from the lips, and Datlash, is from the lips. Now there's the roof of the mouth. So these three, so I'm not exactly sure which two, but from the zivug of I think the Gichak and the Datlash comes the spit. The spit is the outcome of the zivug between these two groups of letters that the mouth produces. The spit itself is a b'chinas vlad, is a b'chinas ateitzor. It's a leda. When a person first marries a woman, remember we said kiddushin. In the first bia, he is implanting in her a ruach. That's his ruach, the ruach of his essence that remains with her and will go out in the children, mainly in the bechor. That's why the bechor gets pishnaim, every part, against any other child. What happens is that if they have no children, is that ruach remains in her. That's why it is the mitzvah of Yibum, so that she'll give birth to a boy. That ruach will go into a boy. The ruach is supposed to go into a boy. But Nebuch, this person didn't leave any children behind him. So now it's going to be him. So in the case of a Chalitza, there's something which is unbelievably incredible that happens, that she spits befanov. And in that spit is melubash the ruach that her deceased husband have planted in her bebia rishoino in the kiddushin before the shivas, in the shivas Mishta. So this he managed to separate. Okay, now there's some kind of a thing. Enachinami, there's no body. There's no body created here, but he's separated from it. He's no longer joined at the hip with with his wife. So there's a possibility for another tikkun. And this is the meaning of Miriam. Miriam is as he says. It said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, "V'avia yorak b'fanea halatikolem shivas yomim." Let Miriam be closed off. She became a metzora because she spoke l'shonah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Shivas yomim daka, she has to be locked out for 7 days. Hainu b'chinas shiva anonim. That's the 7 anonim. Shiva anena kovet. Because Moshe Rabbeinu epitomized the tikkun of the Shiva Anonim. Shleibus, perfectly. As Rabbeinu mentions later on. Moshe Rabbeinu is the Shefa Eloki, is the Chochma, is the Das, vis-a-vis us. We have to understand, Moshe Rabbeinu, Klep HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'chinas Ocher, obviously. But vis-a-vis us, as far as we are concerned, Moshe Rabbeinu is B'chinas Or upon Mamish. The tzaddik is B'chinas Or upon him Mamish. And this covet of the tzaddik is a covet which is at the same time unknowable, unfathomable, unreachable. And as Rabbeinu says in Torah Vav, this is called Koved Eloki. It's Koved Elokim. It's a godly honor, as opposed to royal honor. It says royal honor, everybody is questioning him. Does he deserve it? Doesn't deserve it? Forbes has to publish a whole magazine and rate everybody to see if they rate, if they deserve the honor of being called the world's richest man or whatever, blah blah. So shtus. Kvod Elokim master davar. Rabbeinu says you're not allowed, to question this kind of covet. The point is that the tzaddik himself doesn't want the covet at all. Everything that has to do with him is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, as we'll see about Moshe Rabbeinu a little bit later. When Miriam was poigim, what'd she say? Miriam was poigim in the covet of Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't care. What does he care? Oh, but when she was poigim in the covet of Moshe Rabbeinu, she's poigim bekvod Elokim mamish. Poigim bekvod Elokim. Poigim b'shefa Eloki. B'chinas kedem. B'chinas atiko kadisha. The tikkun is b'chinas Yibum. Is b'chinas Mitzora. Sefer Yetzirah says, there's nothing higher than oinig, which is pleasure, and lower than nega. It's the same letters. Nega is atzaras, is leprosy. This is the two ends of the same thing, of the same spectrum. Just both ends of the same spectrum is the same letters, and it is through Lo'aleinu de Aveilus, through the roik of a Chaltza, through this union of the Mitzvah has to go outside. It is through the nega that you bring down the oinik. It is through the Aveilus that you elevate the nifta to or upon it. It is through the chisaron itself is the shleimus. That's why La'asad Labai, we are going to say a tova meitiv about everything. Not only about what's going to be from that time on, but also on whatever it is that happened during this time in the world. In other words, on the Aveilus itself, on the thing that today we have to make a bracha of Dana Emes, to the Osad Lava, we will make a bracha on it at Tova Meitiv. In other words, that we will be totally aware that the lack was exactly what was needed. That the nega was the oinig, that the busha was the covet. The busha was the keli with which you brought down the covet. The thing which is yoitzel ma'aseh for all of us over here is when you are getting into avodas Hashem. This is the first time that you are actually breaking through the crust of denial that everybody who is far from avodas Hashem is kidding himself about. You don't have avodas Hashem. What do you have? Well, I'm a businessman. I'm a Talmid Chacham. It comes into, much finer resolutions, in the way that people speak, a deep voice, or I speak in a manner that is very mechubadik, and like, wow, this guy is a heavy duty cat. He's a dude, Or I'm a joker, just listen. Each one is cloaking himself in some kind of a levush. But ultimately inside, he's screaming. But you can't look at this screen because what am I going to do with it? I got to cover it up. And whatever it is, everybody goes around, pretending to be happy and successful and everything else. At the same time, they keep on laughing because if they'll stop laughing, they'll scream. They'll start screaming. But when a person gets into avodas Hashem, and you take a look at yourself, and you realize how much you're lacking, how much you are far from avodas Hashem. You take a look at your children, and you see, this is the best I could do. This is the best I can do. And it burns. It burns you up. It singes you. With this busha, you are mamshich to this world, to Arapanim. With this busha, this feeling of inadequacy, like, man, I'm as pathetic as a spelling mistake. I mean, look at me. What am I doing? What am I bringing to the table? I can't learn with my children. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. Everything that I go, I'm a faker, and whatever it is, and everybody else tells you, yeah. With this is Pchinas Nega that brings down the Oinig. This is the Busha that brings about the Arapanim. Why are you broken? Because you're quoting what not Matzliach in Avodas Hashem. That's your Atzlacha. That's your success. That you're ashamed that you're not successful. That's your sign of greatness. Ve'avia yorak befanei alot tikalim shivas yomim. Her father spits on her face. She'll be ashamed for 7 days. I'm a leper. I'm a no goodnik. I'm just a schwanz around the house. My wife plays around with me like I don't know what. It's okay. It's Vasily Gamo. Don't worry about it. Verkehrt. This nega brings about the oineg. This busha brings about the covet. Halot tikolim shivas yomin. Tikolim comes from the word klima, embarrassment, busha, klima. Klima is two words of kli ma. It is the kli for the ma. Ma is the chokhmah. That klima, that embarrassment, that feeling of inadequacy that you feel within you, this is your claim to fame. This is your greatness. If you're broken because you're not a millionaire, no. That's a real busha. But if you're embarrassed because you're not as good as you ought to be, that you're the kind of father that you wanted to be, that you dreamed of being, that you're not growing to be, I don't know, that is your claim to fame. That is your greatness. So here we go. This week's Parsha is all about the Mishkan. It's all about the building of the Mishkan, the putting together of the Mishkan. Every single piece of that somebody once put it, I'm not sure who it was in a sefer, that every single thing in the Mishkan corresponds to the human body. The Oron and the Kruvim is the lungs, and the Oron is the heart, the brain, I'm not sure which it is, and down to the red and the blue and the gold, which are the veins and the nerves, and this amazing stuff that show how the entire Mishkan is what is your body, this is who you are, and what resides in it is the Shekhinah, it's the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself. My dear friends, we have an unbelievable opportunity to be alive right now and wish to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to come close to the Tzaddik, to sanctify the seven candles, to be tunnel visioned and aim to the Shefa Eloki to bring it down. We have no way of grasping the greatness of this moment right now. Right now. You, now. Me, now. Alive. Doing it. It's too big. It's above our pay grade to understand the grandeur and the greatness of this opportunity. Cheled, what can you do? That's this world. B'ezrat Hashem, we will continue this, hopefully B'ezrat Hashem next week, God willing, and B'ezrat Hashem, all things being equal, all things considered, B'ezrat Hashem, we will meet Motzei Shabbos, where we will visit Sichas Aran one more time, and B'ezrat Hashem get another dose of Shefa Eloki from Diburim of Rabbeinu, B'ezrat Hashem.